Hey Taurus, welcome to your Imposter Syndrome reading, where we'll take a look at why you might feel out of place, out of sorts, and like you don't belong, why you're doubting yourself. So let's jump right on in and start by pulling a couple of oracle cards to see what energy is surrounding you for this reading. And what first came out for you is Cordelia. Go outside. You have been indoors too long. Go outside and get some fresh air. Let's pull another and see what else is happening for my Taurus collective for their imposter syndrome reading. And what we have next is White Witch, Be the Light. So what this feels like is that there is a huge sense of you not being in balance right now. Something feels a little bit off, and I just heard go outside and touch grass. Like we saw, go outside and get some fresh air. But there seems to be a huge need for you right now to sort of ground and center yourself. And with the White Witch being the light, I almost feel like for a lot of my Tauruses out there that this needing to belong, this needing to be accepted has turned you into a person that you may not necessarily want to be. That there's this little bit of darkness that's surrounding you, and it almost feels as though people are sort of starting to notice that. And that's not to say that everybody doesn't have a little bit of light and a little bit of darkness inside of them. That's sort of what keeps the universe balanced, right? But for the time being, for whatever this situation is for my Taurus collective, it feels as though this dark is sort of overshadowing your light, in that people can't really get a sense of who you actually are. They don't have a sense of your true self. And it feels as though whatever you have involved yourself in, that you are so driven that there may be situations where you don't necessarily treat the people around you the best, because it's like you're so focused on getting to your end goal. You're so focused on achieving something that it's kind of like, to hell with everybody else. Like, I'm in this for me. And that drive may come as a result of, being picked on or overlooked or bypassed, in previous chapters of your life. And now that you have sort of come out of that, the pendulum has swung to the far extreme. So a lot of grounding and embracing your inner light, as opposed to, sort of kicking people in the neck along your ascent to the top, I feel like is what's needed. So let's get into some tarot and see what other messages we can pull from my Taurus collective. Now, why you feel like an imposter right now, we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. So this is really about rapid movement, right? So having the Eight of Wands in reverse, it feels as though you are in a hurry to get to a certain point or a certain place in your life, where it's like, I don't have time to let things unfold. I need to go ahead and make it happen right now. And however that happens is however it happens, but I need to do some things. We also have the Knight of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles is someone who is incredibly stable. It's a very slow moving energy. So I think that there is a certain level of dissatisfaction with how slowly things are progressing. If you are in a situation where you want a higher level of job or something like that, it's like, I don't have any problems throwing my coworkers under the bus to be able to get there. Like, and I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny, but it's kind of like, Taurus, you view this as sort of a game. And whatever you need to do to finish the game, to win it, that's fine. Like, everything's on the table. But I don't necessarily feel that that's who you are at your core. This is just something that you've embraced as a means to an end. It doesn't feel necessarily very comfortable. It doesn't feel particularly good to you. And so I think that there may be a sense of figuring out where that balance is. Like, how do I get to the top without destroying relationships or people on my way there? So, something about yourself that you need to acknowledge, we have the Three of Cups. So, people genuinely do enjoy being around you, Taurus. And I think that you have that ability to bring people together for the highest good, where you may be a connector of people, that you have the ability to bring them together in a way that's beneficial to all, whether it's just the fact that they get to network with new people, or if those interactions turn into something a little bit more fruitful and lucrative for people. You have this gift, right, of being able to convene people. It's like when I call, they come, which is not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. But we have that clarified also by the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And so I do think that for as much as you sort of put yourself out there, for as much as you give to other people, that it's now time, I think, for you to look a little bit inward and start giving some of that energy and those resources back to yourself. It almost feels like a situation where you think that your ascent or the way that you're respected or viewed in people's eyes is dependent on how much you can give them and what value it is that you bring to the table. But somewhere along the lines, it feels like you've lost that value for yourself and that value to yourself. So I think that it's worth acknowledging that, yes, you have the ability to create these interactions in these spaces where people get together. You might even be a party planner or something along those lines. But what is it that you're giving back to yourself that will make you feel as though it's not necessary for you to be this great big party promoter or party planner to get people to like you, to get people to acknowledge you or recognize you in some way, shape, or form? Now, I think that a lot of this stems from your sort of measuring yourself against other people, what they have, the relationships that they look like. And so how do you stop comparing yourself to these other people? And we have the Five of Wands clarified by the Justice card. And so with the Five of Wands, this is really about you fighting a battle but at what cost? Like, okay, so you won in the end, but you have people looking at you sideways because of the way that you did it. And with justice, it's really about being fair. It's about being equitable. It's about doing the right thing. So I think that the beginning steps for you and how you can stop sort of comparing yourself to others is to take a step back and be like, well, what is this fight costing me? What did they have to do to get to where it is that they wanted to get to? And I think that through that sort of self-exploration and then looking at other people's journeys, it may not necessarily be the same approach that you took. It may not be sort of strong arming. They might have done things in a more balanced and fair and equitable way. So understanding that people's journeys are different and that you don't necessarily have to sort of strong arm your way through life, I think is going to be important for you to stop comparing. It's like, well, you know what? Everybody has their own path. They have their own timing. This is not a battle that I need to go all in on. This is, if you're a person who's good at bringing people together, then it's okay to use that, not by force, but from a genuine place of, you know what, I think this will be good for everybody. It's always good to expand our horizons. So doing things in a more balanced way, I think is going to be super helpful in you stopping sort of comparing your trajectory or your life purpose to someone else's. Now, what you can do to sort of make you feel like less of an imposter, we have the Seven of Wands. This is someone who, they're still sort of defending their position, right? But they're not doing it in a way that is outwardly full of conflict. It's someone who has achieved their goals and they're like, yep, this is where I belong. This is, what I've had to do to get here. I'm ready to go to the next level. It's not as combative of an energy as, say, the Five of Wands, which is, again, full of conflict. But this is someone who recognizes where they are and how they've sort of achieved it. They reevaluate, they take a little bit of time to think it over before they're ready to ascend to the next level. And they're just like, yeah, this is good. This is where I belong. So understanding that you can achieve those goals without fighting for them is going to be important. And we also have the Knight of Swords to clarify. So the Knight of Swords is being very passionate. It's about going after things that you want. But I think that there's a caution in here because the Knight of Swords can be pretty impulsive. Sometimes they don't necessarily think things all the way through. And so I think that there's going to be you maintaining that energy and accomplishing the goals that you want, but being a little bit more thoughtful about the process, incorporating this justice, incorporating this fairness and this balance that I think that you're lacking right now. You're not showing your light side. It seems to be a lot more dark. And so getting those two things in sync, because you can be strategic about this, right? You don't have to just sort of go flailing into the night trying to figure out how you reach your goals. But there is a sense that you need that sort of equal give and take within yourself. Now, a message that you need to hear from Spirit, we have the Five of Cups in reverse. So the Five of Cups is really about crying over spilled milk, thinking about what could have been, what should I have done. There are times that it's helpful to do that in terms of learning life lessons, but it's not something that you can dwell on. So if you are thinking about past experiences where you didn't get what you wanted because you thought you weren't aggressive enough or you thought you weren't worthy of it, there's no sense in staying in that place right now. There's no sense in, weeping over what could have been because you still have chapters that are yet to be written. And we also have that clarified by the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is emotions in abundance. This is someone who is very much in control of all of that. This is someone who is emotionally mature. They are very much in touch with themselves. And so I feel like Spirit is saying that what you need to know now is getting in touch with your feelings about whatever it is that's happened to you in the past that has caused you to be in this place of being a bit of a bull in a china shop. There's no need for that. But the sooner it is that you can sort of tap into yourself and say, why do I feel like this? What experiences led me to behave like this? That it's going to help you sort out your feelings and find that balance as you move forward. But, you can't sort of stay stuck in the memories. Take the lesson and move forward with it. Now, why are you deserving of what it is that you have? This flipped out onto my arm, the Nine of Pentacles, because you are abundant in and of yourself. You don't need other people to validate that, and you certainly don't have to sort of bully your way into getting people to operate the way that you want them to or bring them together in the way that you want them to. We have the Six of Wands in reverse. This sort of craving that I'm getting for you guys from my Taurus collective that has to do with this recognition or acknowledgement or this veneration from other people, it feels very hollow. And so I think that you are deserving of, everything that you have. You are deserving of your goals with or without other people's approval and validation. You don't necessarily need to be celebrated by them. You don't need to sort of have these open ticker tape parades and, oh my God, Taurus is the best. You don't need that from the general public. What matters the most is how you feel about yourself at the end of the day. And those people who are close to you, those people who know you, having their support and their acknowledgement should be enough. But it feels as though you are sort of looking for very, very broad, very, very open acknowledgement from the masses. And that's causing you to act in the way that's sort of anti to who it is that you actually want to be. So understanding that other people, sort of broadly worldwide, their accolades don't necessarily mean anything in the long run. It's really about how you feel about yourself and how the people you care about feel about you too. So that's what I got from my Taurus collective. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.